We'll start with the dollar, as always, and as you can see, we gapped open this week, and we've just been plummeting since then. So it is clear to say that USD is very bearish right now. Again, I am still pretty bearish on the dollar, but I have to be cautious when looking to sell it because there just hasn't been much of a retracement, and price has taken out some major lows as we speak. So I do think price could still go further. I think this could start potentially a bit of a long-term trend, but we'll get to that when we get to that. As of right now, I just want to see a pullback for the dollar. And coming into the week, I was mentioning this area above us at 101.5. And that would have been my area of focus for price to pull back into, potentially look for some entry signals on the 4-hour or hourly chart and take some sells from. However, of course, we haven't really seen that. Price did respect the support for most of the week, but then we have broken through. So it'll be interesting to see how today's candle closes, whether we sustain that momentum or we kind of just keep plummeting. But it's safe to say the market is pretty bearish. So I think I would wait for that daily candle to close, just see what momentum is like. There could be some short-term plays for the dollar off the retest of this area because, of course, we have consolidated here. Now price is clearly broken through. Naturally, that will leave behind some opportunity to short the market. Now, again, I wouldn't be looking to try and swing this trade too far. I think if we do get a pullback into this area, see some decent confirmations, I wouldn't be looking to probably hold that trade for more than a day, to be honest, just because I know there's a lot of momentum in the market, but we're incredibly stretched. Price hasn't really had much of a pullback in a while. You know, this is kind of like our biggest pullback we've had in a while, and that's going back to February. Here we had a slight pullback, was mainly consolidation. Okay, here was a decent pullback in fairness, but still very minuscule, and we've had a really big drop, and of course here it wasn't much of a pullback, if anything. So the market is quite stretched. I do think a bigger pullback is on the cards for USD in the next coming days. But of course, clearly the trend is still bearish, momentum still bearish, support still breaking. That's the direction, if you're trend following anyway, which you want to be focusing in. So I think this is still a great place for a short, but again, nothing too crazy in terms of targets from that level, especially when we're a bit of free fall right now. Look to the left. There's not a lot of structure to work, and there's some minor areas on the left, but nothing significant. In terms of euro, pretty much the exact same situation. Price is clearly breaking to the upside above major weekly levels of resistance like it's nothing, and price is looking exceptionally bullish right now. Again, looking to the left, nothing major there, to be honest, to work with. Some minor areas, but nothing really significant to pinpoint. So again, with euro, market's incredibly bullish, but not trying to sit in buys too long. Take our piece of the pie and then run, essentially. Of course, you can always leave positions to run and trail stops if you want, but when the market is this bullish, we're going to eventually put a top in and see some downside. Euro, I was talking about this area coming into the week as a nice level to buy from. Hopefully we could correctively pull back, test that zone, and look for some buying opportunities there. Unfortunately, the market has just been way too bullish even for that pullback. And now we've broken to the upside again, leaving behind this area. So again, I think this is a smart place for a buy. Also, even the range just below as well. If you have a slightly deeper pullback, or even like that range just below us, I think they both look like really nice areas. Of course, locating areas to buy from and sell from is one half of the jigsaw. The other half is kind of seeing how price reacts with it, and that will give you the information if it's actually a good level to buy or not. And yeah, if price can get back to this area, I think that'll be a smart place for a buy. Equally, the area just underneath us as well. And again, nothing too crazy with euro. Market's still incredibly bullish. We're still seeing a lot of momentum, but we are quite overextended. We are quite stretched. We do think a pullback is on the cards in the next coming days. So a nice buy there, maybe for a day or two. And that might be it for euro. Of course, we could still fly. We don't know. We just have to anticipate as traders. And what I am anticipating now is euro is extremely bullish. We're going to have a pullback soon. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating. But yeah, very bullish. I think pullbacks are the best play for this one. Pound USD likewise, although we're about to smash into some major resistance on our left here on the daily, weekly time frame. So not as eager for the buys anymore. because we're just about to approach some major resistance, which started this massive move, and we completely reversed that. So with pound USD, I'll be a bit more skeptical here, but again, I think some short-term plays on the lower time frames make some sense. We had a nice brief pause here where price kind of consolidated a little bit, and of course we shot up at the start of the week. So again, I think this will be a nice place for a buy, but again, being a bit more cautious, because if we do pull back, it's probably because price is struggling to break the highs there. So this could invite more sellers to jump into the market, potentially some profit taking, and maybe pound USD goes for a bigger correction as well. So being careful of that. But if you can see a slow, staggered, corrective pullback into a zone like this, see some healthy rejections, I think that'll be a smart place for a buy. And again, look to follow momentum. That's the clear thing we have right now with pound USD and the other USD pairs, is a lot of bullish momentum. So if you do see a move against that, most likely the buyers will kick back in and we'll see some more upside. So that for me still looks like a smart play for pound. 1.33 buys look good. Dollar CAD, I said I would be looking at some sells this week if price can pull back into this zone. Again, my idea was pretty much the same across the board for the USD pairs, looking for a bit of a breather to continue that momentum, but all of them have just been so bullish and just not pull back that much. Dollar CAD, this was the pullback last week, very sharp one. Now it kind of just rolled over and now we're smashing through the lows. So with dollar CAD as well, I think this looks like a smart place for a short. Price support, it would be nice if the breakout was a little bit bigger like pound or euro, but I think this is still a nice place for a short. But again, same thing with dollar CAD, I wouldn't be looking to short from here and hold onto the trade for too long, because the market is quite stretched. We've already had a pretty big drop for dollar CAD. If I scoot to the weekly chart, there's a huge bearish candle a couple of weeks back. Don't get me wrong, I still think dollar CAD can go a lot further. We're rejecting massive levels on the weekly chart, so potentially we could even see a move down here. But again, we're not going to move there in a straight line. Price could push down, pull back for a few weeks and push down again. So we're being a bit cautious of that pullback, which is going to happen soon enough. Of course, difficult to say when, but you typically know in FX, we don't go too far for too long without turning back. So at the moment, things look extremely bearish now. So I think short's again the best play. But as we approach this area, I think that would be a nice place to look for an entry, and possibly maybe a day or two, we can find a short there. And again, a bit more of an intraday trade, I'd say probably entries hourly or even lower, maybe even 30 or 15 minute. Aussie dollar, still really like this one. I think there's still a lot more upside to this one. Looks like we're starting to break structure. Have we? Yes, we have just about cleared the highs there. So that's the indication that Aussie dollar potentially is going to see a lot more upside. It's been a very violent few days, past couple of weeks for Aussie dollar. Really aggressive sell, followed by a very aggressive buy. It's almost like this move hasn't really happened. And it is illustrated with a lovely wick on the monthly chart. We had that big sell, but it was just turned out to be a big rejection. Of course, this monthly candle still has 9 days and 12 hours left before it does close, so a lot can happen at that time. But if we close similar to this, that is a very, very bullish April, and with a massive rejection. So for May, the following month, I do think we're likely going to push even further. So that means more buying for next month, and that means I'm predominantly going to focus on buying opportunities. But anyway, we've got the rest of April to deal with. So yeah, price is breaking structure pretty well. Again, I think buys is still the best bet. I did say in my weekly analysis that if we do clear this level and we do it well, then of course that will be the level I start to look for some long opportunities on. I probably want a bigger breakout before I do consider the retest of that high just yet. At the moment, I wouldn't mind a retest of this area. Nice consolidation, big push to the upside, corrective pullback. I think that would be a nice place for a long. There are still some areas below us which I would like a buy from as well. So back down here, even there as well, but we're a bit far away of that now. So I'm not going to be too concerned with this area just yet. If we do have a big correction, then I'll be a bit more interested in that level, but not so much at the moment now. So yeah, Aussie dollar is just looking for pullbacks and more upside. Entity USD, same situation here as well. Really strong move to the upside. This one just hasn't pulled back, to be honest. We've had a very similar move with USD, big move down, big move up, giving us that V-shaped pattern. I said once we break structure, now I'm looking for the retest of this for a continuation. But the market has just been plowing to the upside. So not really so interested with the buys right now with USD because we've literally been bullish since this low here, and we've barely had a pullback since. So I do think the market's going to drop pretty hard to the downside at some point. I'm not really bearish on USD. I'm not bearish on USD, but I do think we'll drop pretty hard simply because of how stretched we are. It's been a long while before since the market's made such a strong move in a particular direction without a pullback. Even this move here, which was a pretty big move, eventually did give us some decent pullbacks. Hence the USD, the biggest pullback we've had in this move is these two bearish candles there. So I do think we're going to snap to the downside pretty hard. I still think the bigger move is to the upside, which is why I'm going to be looking at buys. But I think we definitely need a pullback first. So this is kind of my area of choice. But again, we're just very far away. So I'm going to have to stay patient with USD because that would at least take a week for us to even get there. So it's probably not an opportunity for next week. But yeah, still overall bullish. So still do think we can see more upside. And of course, heading over to gold. Very bullish for gold. Still storming to the upside. This one has okay, 3,500, not too far away. So yeah, gold is just flying. Again, with gold, I just only look to buy really. Again, gold's going to hit top soon. It's going to come down pretty hard. It's expected, but you don't know where it's going to happen because we've stormed through 3,100, 3,200, 3,300. Now about to hit 3,400. And that top isn't forming, and potentially we go hit 3,500 without that top forming. So I would just be more focused on pullbacks. I talked about this area here as a nice place for a buy. Haven't got there yet. Now we've broken through the high. This looks like a nice place for a buy. Let's see if the market will be kind enough to pull back and test that area. I think if we do, that would be a nice place for a swing. And I'll just let that trade run, trail stops. Not really looking to take profit there with gold because you just don't know how big the move will be. And in terms of silver, again, overall pretty bullish for silver as well, but this one is stuck in a bit of a rough place right now. We've got resistance and support in this area, so I'm not really looking to buy silver right now. If we have a bit of a dip, that would be nice, more so into this area. Again, maybe I'm asking a lot there from silver, but again, I'm not going to buy in a place, especially as a swing trade anyway. I'm not going to buy the market in a place where predominantly sellers will be looking to enter, maybe even buyers looking to take profit, and that's kind of where we are right now. Doesn't mean price can't break through, of course not, but if I'm going to find a long and I'm going to hold it for potentially a few days, maybe over a week, I want to be well positioned, and somewhere down here, I know I can hold a trade for potentially that long if it does play out. Here, I might be successful for a day and see price potentially crash down against me. Of course, that could happen there as well, could happen anywhere, but it's all about probability. So, yeah, silver, I'm not too interested with the buys just yet. I think, if anything, there might be some shorts on the cards, actually. Potentially a bit of a double top. That could be a nice trade, potentially for a day or two. Back into support, and we see what happens from there. But this has been a decent consolidation. It's given us a bit of a move, but we're still pretty corrective. So I do think we can probably still see some downside there for silver.